Okay, now we're in Cinema 4D. We're in the 3D space, and I'm going to assume this is probably the first time you've been inside of a 3D space. And the best way to kind of think about it is to look at it kind of like a vehicle. It's like a spaceship or this car, this some kind of vehicle that you're going to use to navigate 3D space. So the first thing we need to learn how to do is to navigate, how to fly around. So this thing that we're looking at here is called the viewport, and this is what you use to look at your imagery and everything that's going on in the 3D world. And to do this, you're going to want a 3-button mouse. You can do it without one, but it's the easiest and kind of the fastest way to use a 3-button mouse. And the key you're going to want to use on your keyboard all the time to do this is the Alt key. So if we hold the Alt key and then left click and drag around, you see that's how we rotate around our viewport. And then if you hold the Alt key and click the right click button and hold that down and slide, then that's how we zoom in and out. And then if you hold Alt and the middle click, which on mine it's a wheel, so I'm clicking the scroll wheel, that's how we drag around. So it's by using those 3 buttons on our mouse, and that's how we're going to fly around and navigate in 3D space. So right now, just try this, just move around using the different ways, and you can't break anything, so go ahead and just throw it around and move around, and just get used to flying around 3D space, because this is what you're going to be doing all the time. So this is just one view of the viewport, and there's going to be a couple other views. You can choose different views to use depending on how you want to work or what you're doing. And so the way we control those is by using the F1 through F5 keys on our keyboard. So if we press F1, we'll see that nothing happens because this perspective view, which if you look at the top left-hand corner, that's the name of this view, which we're using right now, is set to F1. Let's go ahead and jump ahead to F5. So if you press F5, now you have these 4 views: perspective, top, right, and front. And these are tied to F1, 2, 3, 4 on your keyboard. So if we go through F1, we'll see there's perspective, F2, top, F3, right, F4, front, and then F5, we see them all, and then you look at the name. So, have that make sense to you. You're pressing F1 through 4, and you're selecting these. 5 is all of them. And at any time, you can change the view. If you go up to into one of these viewport windows and go to cameras, you'll see they have these different cameras listed. We're using top, but you can easily just go switch that to bottom. So this is just the default. Most of the time, you're going to be working in the perspective view. So you're probably wondering what the difference is between this perspective view and these other views, which are called your orthogonal or isometric views, is that your perspective view has perspective. So the perspective view works like a real camera or your eyes. It's looking at these 3D objects like we would look at them. And then these orthogonal or isometric views are looking at it kind of how a computer would. So this top view has no perspective. It's just totally flat. This front view is straight from the front. There's no perspective. The right view is straight from the right. So the reason you want these is when you're moving things around in 3D space, which has 3 axes, or 3 axes, however you're supposed to say it. If you look at them here, we have Y, which is green and facing up. This is your little helper here too. It's connected to this if we swivel around. X is red, which goes across, and Z is blue, which is depth. So this is trying to help you figure out where you are in space. Like if you were to accidentally flip your world upside down, you could look here at this Y facing down. It's supposed to be facing up, or here, and then go, oh, okay, I'm upside down. So that's kind of help you navigate in space. And if you look at your other views, let's look at them all. It's impossible for me to tumble and get flipped all around because there's no perspective. So when you're working in 3D, sometimes you just want to move something from one axis or look at it from one axis. You want to look at it straight on, straight from the side, and that's what these help you do. So they're usually really helpful in modeling or placing objects exactly where you want. Most of the time, you're in F1 or in perspective view.